The Promissory Note from I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King Jr. The 14th Amendment, the Civil Rights Act of 1866. 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to the end of a long night of captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro is still not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languishing in the corners of American society and finds himself an exile in his own land. So we have come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we have come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men would be guaranteed inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note, and so far as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring the sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of American opportunity of this nation. So we have come to cash this check, a check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. This, the marvelous new militancy which has engulfed the Negro community, must not lead us to distrust all white people, for many of our white brothers are, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny, and their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit together at a table of brotherhood. I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. When we let freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village, every hamlet, from every city, and every state, we will be able to speed up that day when all God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. We are here at the Martin Luther King Memorial here in Washington, D.C. We've come here today as Mr. Citizen Patriot to claim the authority and the power to fulfill the dream that Dr. King had for our nation. People look at my outfit, look at who I am and say, Uncle Sam, no, Uncle Sam is nothing but a poster that taxes you with an old white man on it. I am the living symbol, the new living symbol of America. It took 243 years of America's tribulations to come to this point where the nation is now ripe and ready for a black man like me to come along and bring the country together from the political right, left, conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat, whatever you may be. We must now learn to come together as we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. It is time that we rise up and live out the creed of our nation. Black people, when you see this black skin right here, I want you to know something. Without this black skin and our experience as chattel slaves in this country, there'd be no red, white, and blue. It's really up to you, my brothers and my sisters, to claim that which is ours. And the 14th Amendment, the promissory note, that's what Dr. King is talking about. It's in the Constitution. We are not just a regular people, we are a protected people. And the only way that what's in the Constitution and the only way what this man dreamed will become a reality is when you and I embrace that which we have been apprehended for. Come on, brothers and sisters, let's finish the dream.